All right, everybody, let's get started. So today's webinar is on alcohol and how it affects your health. I'm Eva, I'm one of the coaches, and so today we're going to be going through this agenda. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of alcohol. We're going to focus on wine, beer, and liquor. We're going to talk about the alcohol and cancer connection. We're going to go over alcohol and how it affects your weight. And then we're just going to go over some general tips for helping you consume alcohol in a healthy way. So first off, I do want to stress that all of the benefits and the following recommendations are based on a moderate intake, which is typically defined as no more than 1 to 2 drinks per day. A drink then is going to be different depending on your alcohol of choice. So for our purposes, we can consider a drink to mean 12 ounces of beer, 1 glass or 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of liquor. So I just do want to stress that those are the drink sizes when we are talking about drinks. So when we look at red wine, it's been getting a lot of press lately for its health benefits. This is true, but it's usually, alcohol in general, people focus on red wine. This contains antioxidants. Those are known for fighting free radicals and protecting your healthy cells. It's especially rich in the antioxidant called resveratrol, which is getting a lot of press lately, and that's actually found in the grape skins and the seeds. So resveratrol acts as a blood thinner, preventing platelets from sticking together, which can help prevent heart attacks. And so that's one of the reasons that red wine in moderation has been linked to preventing heart attacks and improving or maintaining really good cardiovascular health. It's also been shown that it increases your good cholesterol, that HDL. It prevents your bad cholesterol or the LDL from getting higher. And it's also been shown to reduce inflammation of chronic smokers' blood vessels. So it helps prevent blood clots and it can reduce vessel damage. So there are some definite benefits to red wine, a lot of which you might be familiar with already. If you choose to drink wine, it is a good idea to try to get natural, untreated wine, and you may experience the benefits of healthier digestion and less bloating when you're drinking that wine. When you drink that type of wine after a rich meal that maybe was high in fats or meats, it can help move things smoothly through your intestines and reduce your risk of digestive diseases. As I said earlier, red wine is rich in resveratrol, and that protects your bodies from free radicals. So in this way, it acts as actually an anti-carcinogen. It helps reduce that risk of cancer. And it also helps delay the appearance of wrinkles and keeps your skin young and firm. There's also several healthy vitamins and minerals. Those include choline, that's a vitamin that's part of the B family that helps maintain overall good health and assist in memory problems. Potassium, which provides energy and converts blood sugar into glycogen, so it's really important. Phosphorus converts food into energy, so that helps with your metabolism, helps with your kidney function, helps with your heart muscle contraction, and also improves cell growth. And fluoride, which prevents tooth decay and reduces your risk of cavities. So the healthiest types of red wine are going to be dark red wines made from grapes, which have thick skin, such as Malbec or Cabernet. Pinot Noir is also a good option. But it's really important to note that you only experience these benefits when wine is consumed in moderation, and this is going to be a common thread for us. So otherwise, there are some negative health effects that we're going to go over a little bit more in depth later. So beer contains some antioxidants as well. So maybe you're not the biggest wine fan, you actually prefer beer. Well, rest easy because there are some actual health benefits to beer too, quite a few you can see. So beer contains antioxidants called polyphenols, and these promote heart health as well. So beer helps your heart in that way, but it also can help in other ways. It reduces your risk for heart disease because beer, especially dark beer, helps improve that cholesterol similar to red wine. So it improves your HDL level, it lowers that LDL, and it actually has a bit of soluble fiber, so that further helps improve that cholesterol. Beer is also rich in silicon, which is an element that's been linked to stronger bones. It's good to keep in mind, however, that an excessive use of alcohol has been linked with weakening the skeletal system. So here again, moderation is key. Beer also seems to slow the rate at which calcium is leaving your bones, and so this further helps improve that bone density. You want to make sure you're sticking to just 1 or 2 drinks a day, because in one study, men who drank 1 to 2 beers per day had hip bone densities that were 3 to 4 times better than those who didn't drink regularly. Because it slows that calcium loss from the bones, beer has also been shown to reduce the incidence of kidney stones, and it has a much higher water content, so it has a diuretic effect, more so than other alcohols, and that helps the body flush out those kidney stones as well. It's also a good source of calcium, magnesium, and selenium, which are also important for bone health, but they contribute to your energy metabolism as well. Dark beers are a good source of iron, which is really important for energy and your immune system function. And one 12-ounce beer actually supplies 3% of the B12 and 12% of the B6 that you need each day. So those also both assist in helping your heart health. And it actually has a hydrating effect, so despite the fact that alcohol tends to be a diuretic and tends to have dehydration as a problem, when you're out in the heat, they find that beer actually replenishes your hydration needs and your electrolytes better than just plain water. So if you're outside sweating at one of those summer festivals, a beer can actually help you stay hydrated. The other nice thing about beer that other alcoholic beverages tend to lack is that they're typically individually portioned. So that means that you can easily control the servings you take in and keep track of the amount of beer that you're drinking. Another benefit that beer has, when you use it as a marinade for cooking, it actually has an anti-carcinogenic effect on some meats. So a lot of times when you grill, people will talk about the fact that there are some cancer-causing issues with grilled meats and the way those are cooked, and marinating them in beer actually reduces that risk. So if you're not a wine drinker and you're not a beer drinker, but you tend to stick to hard liquor and mixed drinks, there are still a couple benefits to that as well. It's got a lower calorie content, mostly due to the fact that it doesn't have any extra carbohydrates. So you can get the same effects but with fewer calories, which is important in a healthy weight management program. It's been shown to lower your chance of stroke. There's a lower chance of stroke in people that regularly consume moderate amounts of alcohol. So again, that's going to be 1 to 2 drinks per day of 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of liquor. You can actually help soothe a sore throat. Whiskey, when you mix with warm water, is really soothing to an irritated throat, but you just want to gargle it instead of swallowing it so that you can numb that throat without getting the buzz. And liquor, much like wine and beer, contains various antioxidants as well. One that's present in liquor is also beneficial in protecting your body against a whole host of diseases, especially cancers of the breast, colon, skin, prostate, pancreas, and esophagus. Okay, sorry about that. Had a slight delay. Phone got disconnected, so I'm just going to pick up right where I think we were at, that those antioxidants can help protect you from certain types of cancers. And actually, vodka has been helpful for better breath, so much like a mouthwash. It improves your breath by killing that odor-causing bacteria. So sorry about that. I hope everybody is still with us. We'll see. Hopefully everybody can hear me still. So then I want to focus on just what are some of the universal benefits. So there are some benefits that span all types of alcohol. so that if wine isn't your thing and you're not a big beer drinker, but you like the liquor, depending on whatever it is that you're looking for, moderate alcohol consumption of any time has been linked to better cognitive health. Moderate drinkers were less likely to experience Alzheimer's, disease, and other age-related forms of dementia, more so than non-drinkers. So again, moderate drinkers, 1 to 2 drinks per day. Alcohol consumption has also been connected with a reduced risk of diabetes. Alcohol, basically, to sum it up, makes it easier for your body to process glucose and use it as energy, and that helps reduce the amount of sugar that's in your bloodstream and thus reduce your risks for diabetes. It's important to note, though, that you want to make sure you're not using high sugar mixes like fruit juices, soda, or energy drinks, because those are all going to actually add more sugar to your bloodstream and reduce the benefits of that glucose control in the alcohol. Beer, liquor, and wine, as we mentioned, have all been connected to improved HDL, that's that good cholesterol levels in your blood. And other studies have shown that slight inebriation can actually help you get your creative juices flowing, which, you know, a lot of times we hear about different artists, writers, painters relying on that. So while I think there is some exaggeration to that, it is true that people who drank in one study performed better at a problem-solving test than other sober counterparts. Here again, you don't want to overdrink because we know that that really impairs your cognitive function. Some of the antioxidants that are found in both wine and beer are also linked with helping people look younger, and they can actually increase your energy levels, so that helps with aging. Alcohol consumption has also been found to be helpful in warding off the common cold. However, it doesn't help to cure the common cold. So try to avoid alcohol when your body's trying to repair itself and recover, but they did find that moderate drinkers had a better tendency not to catch a cold than those who didn't drink. Stress reduction is another one that doesn't really surprise very many people. A lot of times people use alcohol to take the edge off and as a way to unwind, but this is something that you need to be doing with caution. There's a saying that I really like that goes, don't drink to feel better, drink to feel even better. And that kind of means that you shouldn't assume that alcohol is going to take away your problems. You should use it more as a way to unwind when you're already relaxed. When you use substances to control your stress, what happens is that it just builds and builds and builds, because when you sober off, that problem is still going to be there. So if you can avoid using it as a stress relief measure, I do recommend that. Moderate intake has also been linked with a longer lifespan. Those folks who regularly consumed 1 to 2 servings of alcohol each day, whether it was wine, beer, or liquor, tended to have a longer lifespan. Studies show that the ethanol in the drinks have life-extending benefits, and there are also the common antioxidants and the resveratrol that boost heart health. They slow your muscle deterioration and have a whole host of other benefits that contribute to a longer, healthier life. So several factors kind of at play there. There are also studies that suggest that people who regularly imbibe tend to be at a healthier weight over their lifetime than those who don't. But like I said, when we went over the agenda, we're going to go a little bit more in depth with that in just a few minutes. So the next thing I want to focus on are the risks. And what you're going to notice as we talk through these is that a lot of these risks seem to be in direct contrast to the benefits. And that's because most of the risks are associated with an overconsumption of alcohol. So again, all of those benefits that we touted are going to be for moderate drinkers. That's going to be 1 to 2 drinks on average per day. And when you go beyond that, the risks start to outweigh those healthy benefits. So you can see here dehydration, because alcohol is a diuretic. A lot of medications don't react well with alcohol. So if you are on any medications, it's really important to talk with your doctor about how different substances are going to affect that. You want to make sure that you are not negating the effects of your medications, but also that there aren't going to be some health issues if you mix them with alcohol. Birth defects. We know for years that if you're pregnant, if you may be pregnant, you want to stay away from alcohol. Fetal alcohol syndrome is just one of the problems. alcoholism. So this goes back kind of to using it as a stress control. A lot of times that's where this can become a problem, but really, really debilitating disease associated with an overconsumption of alcohol. It affects your mental health, not just when you are drunk, but also afterwards. There can be lots of problems as your body comes down from that. 3 beers or more a day has been associated with a higher chance of lung cancer. You know, it's hard to say that if that's from the beer or other lifestyle factors, but that does tend to be a correlation. It's been linked to insulin resistance. So there again, you know, we saw that it reduced your risk for diabetes. However, that overconsumption leads to insulin resistance. And then you can get tannin headaches from wine. Those are some of the tannins are added to wine, and those are something that can cause headaches. Some people are allergic to the tannins. Some people react really badly to them. So if you can get those sulfite-free wine options, you're going to be better off. And the other thing is that alcohol is really calorie dense. Just like any other liquid calories, you want to kind of proceed with caution because you are getting a larger amount of calories without nutrition. So you want to be careful of that. Okay, so cancer and alcohol, this is kind of a fine line. You know, you may have heard that people who drink red wine every day are trying to reduce their risk for cancer. But the facts are showing us that alcohol is actually responsible for about 1 in every 30 cancer deaths that occur in the U.S. each year. And that's even with just 1 drink each day. So even 1 drink each day is increasing your risk. Heavy drinkers who are drinking more than that have the higher risks of those cancer-related deaths, but even those people that consume just 1.5 drinks on average account for 30%, almost a third, of those alcohol-related cancer deaths. You can see here the various types of cancer that are at a higher risk when you do consume alcohol. And there's DNA damage that gets done. A lot of times after you drink, that damage is your cells repair themselves within a day, but constant overuse, it can make it so that your body isn't able to bounce back from that. It can't recover from that alcohol, and that DNA damage can become permanent. But I'm not saying you should give up alcohol altogether if you feel that it fits into your healthy lifestyle. As we've talked today, there are a lot of benefits to be had. But with that being said, much like anything in your life, when it comes to your health, moderation is key. So overdoing anything, especially alcohol, comes with risks. We know that cancer isn't something we have a cure for, and it isn't something we know all the causes for, but cancer definitely has been linked with alcohol consumption, so you just want to really, really proceed with caution. One of the biggest issues with alcohol consumption tends to be weight, whether it's weight gain, weight maintenance, or weight loss as you consume alcohol. And it's a really many-headed monster because there are just so many ways to consider how alcohol can impact your weight. So first off, there are just simply the extra calories that you're consuming with alcohol or any other liquid calorie for that matter. So when we drink calories, our bodies don't tend to feel full from those liquid calories. Already you're going to take in calories that your body registers as excess, and it's going to take in just as it would food, but your mind doesn't really feel like you're satisfied. It doesn't feel like you've eaten. Other studies also tell us that you feel less full when you drink alcohol. So that means that not only are you taking in those calories from the drinks, but if you eat after you've had a little bit to drink, your body isn't going to feel as full quickly from that food, which leads to eating more and adding even more excess calories to your day. So here, you can see the average calorie counts for beer, liquor, and wine, and that 1 gram of alcohol has 7 calories, which is comparable to fat grams. Fat grams contain 9 calories apiece. For carbs and protein, it's only 4 calories. So almost twice the calories in alcohol that you would in just a basic carb or protein. The next piece of bad news when it comes to your weight and alcohol is that alcohol is a toxin, so your body wants to get rid of that first. So your body switches over to burning off the alcohol and metabolizing that to get it out of your system and puts your other calorie burning systems on hold. So that means you can't burn off any of the excess food calories that you might have taken in or the excess carbohydrates in some of the drinks that you've had until your body burns through the alcohol. So that can mean that if you don't get through all of that, any leftover unburned calories become stored as fat, much like they would if you overate. The thing here is that rather than start digesting those calories and burning them off the way it would after dinner, if you have a few drinks first, your body's got to deal with that alcohol. Another thing that changes when you drink alcohol is that your cravings change. So you rarely hear someone say that they could really go for some carrots and celery at 2 a.m. after a night out. And this is generally because moderate alcohol consumption actually enhances the taste of salt and fat. So that could be why, during the day when you're at work, fast food doesn't do anything for you. You're not craving it. You've got no interest, but at 2 a.m., after a night out, Taco Bell, Burger King, those places seem like they'd be a really good idea. The other thing we know is that alcohol lowers your inhibitions. So when maybe you do have some really great willpower after a few drinks, not only is that food going to seem more appealing, but your resolve is going to be weakened, and you might be more likely to eat, then more likely to overeat because, as I just said, that food isn't going to fill you up as quickly. So while we did mention earlier that it is linked to a healthy weight, that really is folks who stick to just 1 or 2 drinks. And this could be due to other lifestyle factors like regular physical activity and reducing calories in other areas to accommodate for the excess calories from alcoholic beverages. Some researchers also believe that people who consume alcohol regularly have bodies that begin to adapt to the consumption, and they begin to metabolize the alcohol more quickly than those who don't drink regularly. This is something that's kind of up in the air, though. So, if you're not a drinker and you're trying to lose weight, I definitely wouldn't suggest adding alcohol into your diet plan. It's not something that's going to increase your fat loss or help with your weight management. There are definitely ways to fit it in, but it isn't necessarily going to have a positive effect right off the bat. The other problem is that it's been linked to a gain in your visceral fat, which is the fat that builds up around your organs and is actually really dangerous for your overall health. So as far as weight goes, it makes it more difficult to lose weight. You can definitely work it into a healthy diet, but it isn't something that I would recommend adding if you are working on weight loss. And there's just a lot of things to keep in mind. So if you are going to drink, be careful and keep all these different factors in mind and how it affects your weight. But when you do drink, we want you to be as safe as possible. So here are some things we want you to keep in mind. Designate a driver. We want you to be safe. We want to make sure that you're not driving yourself. You don't want to get in the car with anyone who's drunk or even slightly buzzed. We want you to be safe. So designate a driver or call a cab. Save a couple cabs numbers in your phone. Make sure that you have a safe ride. Set a limit for yourself before you go out. If you decide that tonight you're going to have 3 drinks, set it and stick with it and keep track. Count your beer tabs, count your straws, whatever it's going to be. But make sure that you stick to your limit. Try to alternate your drinks. If you can switch between an alcoholic beverage and a water every other drink, that's going to help keep you hydrated. You won't be as sick the next day. You're going to feel a lot better. If you can, you want to eat first. Your blood alcohol level when you drink on an empty stomach skyrockets, can lead to blackouts, which is a really dangerous situation. So make sure you're not drinking on an empty stomach. Try to have some food beforehand. And then keep an eye on your drinks. you want to be in a safe place, but still keep your drinks covered, keep your drinks with you at all times. The incidence of things being slipped in there is higher than you realize. You want to make sure that no one's tampering with your drinks. And if you can, find a buddy. Make sure that they aren't overdoing it. Ask them to do the same for you. You know, if you need help counting those drinks, if you need someone to let you know that you've kind of hit your limit, that's okay. Just, you know, you want to be with people you trust, so don't feel like you can't ask one of your friends to kind of help you out. So as always, we would love your feedback. We're looking to finalize the rest of the 2013 schedule. One thing I do want to mention, next month's webinar is actually going to be on the 10th at noon Central Standard Time. That is the second Wednesday of the month. We're switching this to accommodate for people who might be on vacation for the 4th of July holiday. So we're looking at Wednesday, July 10th at noon Central Standard Time. Now I do want to open it up for questions. We've got just a few minutes here, so if you have some questions, just type them in your question box and we will try to get to those.